Eh bien, rebonjour. Pour ceux qui n'auraient pas été connectés depuis le début de la matinée, je suis
from the very
Pierre
beginning
Caussade,
this morning. My name is Pierre
le
Caussade,
plaisir d'être un petit peu le
and I
chef
have
d'orchestre
the pleasure of orchestrating this morning's sessions in a way. But I'm going to hand over without delay to those who are going to be taking part in the panel, which is opening up now, with its moderator, Paul Steele. Paul Steele has had a career with many different kinds of experience across different international conglomerates. Ultimately, he became Deputy Director General of the WWF, a very well-known NGO. It was in 2007 that he joined IATA, the International Air Transport Association. And within IATA, he has been successively the head of the environment, which is when we got to know each other, and then the Secretary General of the association until 2019. Now, what could I say about Paul Steele and why he is here with us today? Well, in the very demanding world of airlines across continents, and in the equally demanding world of the civil aviation directorates around the world, Paul Steele has always been recognized for his perfect mastery of the field and for his rather uncommon ability to pull together different points of view, even in extremely complex situations and very tense situations. I've seen that for myself in some cases. So you have the floor, Paul, as they say. Well, thank you so much, Pierre, for this very kind introduction. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this first panel. We're going to be hearing the point of view of the operators. We're going to switch languages for this presentation, but of course you can follow on the other language channel if you wish.
As we've already heard this morning from Alexandre de Juniac of IATA, the air transport industry had suffered probably the worst crisis in its more than 100-year history, with traffic dropping to almost zero in many parts of the world. In effect, this has bankrupted many operators and left others fighting for financial survival. Many have taken the unprecedented action in laying off major parts of their workforce, cancelling or delaying orders for aircraft, and having to manage cash on an almost hour-to-hour basis. As the industry looks forward to re-emerging from this crisis, what will the future of air transport look like? And most importantly, how will the industry face up to the increasingly critical climate challenge? The pressure on aviation to curb its emissions is greater than it's ever been. But with weaker financial resources and much depleted workforces, can the industry even achieve the targets it had set before, let alone go further towards a zero-carbon future by the middle of this century? So over the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to explore what the re-emerging industry plans to do to combat climate change. We'll hear whether it will fall short of its previous ambitions, or whether it's emerged from the crisis more committed than ever to reduce its emissions. Are the existing regulatory frameworks, such as the EU ETS and CORSIA, still fit for purpose? And is the famous four-pillar strategy that the industry adopted still adequate to deliver what the industry needs to do? What more does the industry need from governments to support it in this task? And also, the promise of sustainable alternative fuels has been dangled before us as the most promising mid-term solution, but it requires massive investments to produce sufficient quantities. And will that effort now continue, or will it subside? So these are some of the many questions before us as the industry strives to recover from the recent crisis. I'm delighted, therefore, to be joined by a truly knowledgeable and senior group of aviation industry leaders who will give us their perspectives on these questions and more. So let me introduce to you a truly international panel. and I'm delighted that they're here with me. First in the studio with me is Henri Guy, the Directrice Générale d'Air France, who has very kindly agreed to speak English to help facilitate the panel and make my job a hell of a lot easier. So welcome to you, Henri Guy, and thank you for joining us today. From London, we're joined by Jonathan Council, who is the head of sustainability for the International Airlines Group, which is a group which brings together British Airways, Iberia and Vueling, amongst others. So, Jonathan, we're delighted you're able to join us this morning, and welcome from London.
Thank you very much, and it's great to be here and joining you. Thank you.
We're also joined by Michael Gill, who's the Executive Director of the Air Transport Action Group, which is probably the only association that brings together all components of the aviation industry, from the manufacturers through airports, airlines and air traffic control. So, Michael, welcome from Geneva.
Good morning, Paul. Good morning to everyone.
And last but certainly not least, and very early in the morning, so a big thank you to Nancy Young, who is the Vice President of Environmental Affairs for Airlines for America, which is the association representing the North American airlines. So, Nancy, thank you for getting up so early to join us this morning.
Well, good morning. I'm delighted to be here from Washington, D.C.
Okay, well, as I said, it's a truly international panel of experts, so let's get straight to it.